Welcome to Bible Quizzes. My name is Brianna and I'm going to be your host today. Remember, you have 5 seconds after each question for me to reveal the answer. Good luck. Who was called by God to lead the Israelites of Egypt? Abraham, Moses, Jonah, or David? Moses, Exodus 3:10. So now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. What was the first plague God sent upon Egypt? Frogs, darkness, water to blood, or hail? Water of blood, Exodus 7:20. Moses and Aaron did just as the Lord had commanded. He raised his staff in the presence of the Pharaoh and his officials and struck the water of the Nile, and all the water was changed into blood. Who found Moses as a baby in the basket in the Nile River? Pharaoh's daughter, Miriam, a Hebrew midwife, or an Egyptian soldier? Pharaoh's daughter, Exodus 2:5-6. Then Pharaoh's daughter went down the Nile to bath, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her female slave to get it. What did God appear as when he spoke to Moses at Mount Horeb? A cloud, an angel, burning bush, or a stone? Burning bush, Exodus 3:2. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. How many years were the Israelites in slavery in Egypt? 100 years? 400 years? 200 years? Or 430 years? 430 years. Exodus 12:40. Now the length of the time the Israelites people lived in Egypt was 430 years. What is the name of Moses' brother who also helped lead to the Israelites? Aaron, Joshua, Caleb, or Levi? Aaron, Exodus 4:14. Then the Lord's anger burnt against Moses, and he said, "What about your brother, Aaron the Levite? I know he can speak well. He is already on his way to meet you, and he will be glad to see you." What did Moses' staff turn into when he threw it on the ground? A serpent, a stone, a rod of fire, or a bird? A serpent. Exodus 4:3. The Lord said, "Throw it on the ground." Moses threw it on the ground, and it became a snake, and he ran from it. What did the Israelites eat in the wilderness when they complained about hunger? Fish and bread, figs and dates, manna, or quail only? Manna. Exodus 16:31. The people of Israel called the bread manna. It was white like coriander seed and tasted like wafers made with honey. How did God guide the Israelites during the day in the wilderness? Pillar of fire, a dove, a cloud, or an angel? A cloud. Exodus 13:21. By the day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so that they could travel by day or night. What sea did Moses part of the Israelites to cross a dry ground? Mediterranean, Dead Sea, Red Sea, or Jordan River? Red Sea. Exodus 14:21. Then Moses stretched out his hands over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided. What did God tell Moses to remove at the burning bush? His robe, his staff, his sandals, or his belt? His sandals. Exodus 3:5. Do not come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. What was the second plague that struck Egypt? Frogs, flies, locusts, or hail? Frogs. Exodus 8:2. If you refuse to let them go, I will send a plague of frogs on your whole country. What was the name of Moses' sister? Miriam, Hannah, Rachel, or Sarah? Miriam. Exodus 15:20. Then Miriam the prophet, Aaron's sister, took a timbrel in her hand, and all women followed her with timbrels and dancing. What did the Israelites build while Moses was on Mount Sinai? Golden calf, tabernacle, altar to God, or wooden idol? Golden calf. Exodus 32:4. He took what they handed him and made it into an idol cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with a tool. Then they said, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." What was the name of Moses' father-in-law? Jethro, Eliab, Laban, or Korah? Jethro. Exodus 3:1. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. How many commandments were given to Moses on Mount Sinai? 5, 12, 10, or 20? 10. Exodus 21:17. Full Ten Commandments passage. What was the mountain where Moses received the 10 Commandments? Mount Horeb, Mount Zion, Mount Carmel, or Mount Sinai? Mount Sinai. Exodus 19:20. The Lord descended to the top of Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top of the mountain. So Moses went up. What did Moses' mother do to protect him as a baby? Hid him for 3 months and then placed him in a basket. Exodus 2:2-3. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. But when she could hide him for no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. What did Moses strike to bring water for the Israelites? A tree, the ground, a rock, or a river? A rock. Exodus 17:6. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink. Who sang a song of praise after the crossing of Red Sea? Aaron, Joshua, Miriam, or Caleb? Miriam. Exodus 15:20-21. Then Miriam the prophet, Aaron's sister, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her, with timbrels and danced. Miriam sang with them, "Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted." What did the Israelites complain about lacking in the wilderness of Sin? Bread, water, meat, or all of the above? All of the above. Exodus 16:3. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into the desert to starve this entire assembly to death." Who made the golden calf for the Israelites? Aaron, Joshua, Miriam, or Caleb? Aaron. Exodus 32:2-4. Aaron answered them, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your son, and your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me." So all people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. How many days and nights was Moses on Mount Sinai? 20, 40, 30, or 50? 40. Exodus 24:18. Then Moses entered the cloud as he went up on the mountain, and he stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. What was the name of Moses' wife? Rachel, Zipporah, Deborah, or Rebecca? Zipporah. Exodus 2:21. Moses agreed to stay with a man who gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses in marriage. Who hardened Pharaoh's heart during the plagues? Pharaohs, Moses, magicians, or God? God. Exodus 9:12. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said to Moses. What did Moses name the altar he built after defeating the Amalekites? Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Shalom, Jehovah Jireh, or Jehovah Nissi? Jehovah Nissi. Exodus 17:15. Moses built an altar and called it "The Lord is my banner." Which tribe was specifically chosen to serve as priests? Judah, Benjamin, Levi, or Simeon? Levi. Exodus 28:1. Have Aaron your brother brought to you from among the Israelites, along with his sons Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar, so they may serve me as priests. What material was used to make the lampstand in the tabernacle? Bronze, copper, silver, or gold? Gold. Exodus 25:31. Make a lampstand of pure gold, hammer out its base and shaft, and make it flower like cups, buds, and blossoms of one piece with them. What color were the curtains of the tabernacle? Blue, purple, and scarlet. Exodus 26:1. Make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of finely twisted linen and blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, with cherubim woven into them and skilled worker. Which Egyptian god did the plague of darkness directly oppose? Osiris, Ra, Anubis, or Set? Ra. Exodus 10:21. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand toward the sky, so the darkness spreads over Egypt, darkness that can be felt." What mountain did God first appear to Moses on? Sinai, Horeb, Moriah, or Carmel? Horeb, Exodus 3:1. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. Who was swallowed by the earth as punishment for rebellion? Dathan, Korah, Abiram, or all? Korah, Exodus 16:32-33. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, and all those associated with Korah, together with their possessions. What type of wood was used for the Ark of Covenant? Cedar, acacia, olive, or pine? Acacia, Exodus 25:10. Have them mark an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. How many layers covered the tabernacle? 2, 4, 3, or 5? Four. Exodus 26:1-14. Make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of finely twisted linen. Over the tabernacle make a covering of ram skins and dyed red, and over that a covering of the other durable leather. Who held Moses' arms up during the battle against Amalek? Aaron, Aaron and Hur, or Caleb? Aaron and Hur. Exodus 17:12. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side and one on the other side, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. What was sprinkled on the altar during the covenant ceremony? Water, oil, blood, or wine? Blood, Exodus 24:6. Moses took half of the blood and put it in bowls, and the other half he splashed against the altar. What was the punishment for a master who killed his slave? Fine, death, imprisonment, or freedom? Death, Exodus 21:20. Anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result. What was placed on the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant? Gold, incense, blood, or a name? Blood, Exodus 25:22. There, above the cover between the two cherubim that are over the Ark of the Covenant law, I will meet with you and give you all my commands for the Israelites. Which Egyptian goddess was mocked by the plague of lice? Isis, Geb, Hathor, or Nut? Geb, Exodus 8:16-17. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, stretch out your staff and strike the dust of the ground, and throughout the land of Egypt the dust will become gnats." What was the duration of the plague of darkness? 1 day, 3 days, 2 days, or 7 days? 3 days. Exodus 10:22. So Moses stretched out his hands toward the sky, and total darkness covered all Egypt for 3 days. What type of stone was engraved for the high priest's breastpiece? Onyx, sapphire, jasper, or emerald? Onyx, Exodus 28:9. Take 2 onyx stones and engrave on them the names of the sons of Israel. What did Pharaoh give the midwives who feared God? Silver, cattle, homes, or land? Homes, Exodus 1:21. And because of the midwives fear God, he gave them families of their own. What type of offering was to be made without yeast? Burnt, wave, peace, or grain? Grain, Exodus 23:18. Do not offer the blood of a sacrifice to me along with anything containing yeast. What metal was used for the altar of burnt offerings? Gold, bronze, silver, or copper? Bronze, Exodus 27:1-2. Build an altar of acacia wood, 3 cubits high. It is to be square, 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits wide. Make a horn at each of the 4 corners, so that the thorns and the altar are one piece, and overlay the altar with bronze. What was Moses instructed to do to sweeten the bitter waters of Marah? Throw a piece of wood. Exodus 15:25. Then Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became fit to drink. What was the penalty for a man who stole and sold another person? Death, imprisonment, exile, or fines? Death, Exodus 21:16. Anyone who kidnaps someone is to be put to death, whether the victim has been sold or is still in the kidnapper's possession. What animal was specifically forbidden to be boiled in its mother's milk? Sheep, goat, cow, or camel? Goat, Exodus 23:19. Bring the best of the first fruits of your soil to the house of the Lord your God. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. What type of bread were the Israelites commanded to eat at Passover? Unleavened, barley, leavened, or wheat? Unleavened, Exodus 12:17. Celebrate the festival of unleavened bread, because it was on its very day that I brought you divisions out of Egypt. Which tribe does Moses belong to? Levi, Benjamin, Judah, or Simeon? Levi, Revelation 1:20. As for the mystery of the 7 stars that you saw in my right hand, and the 7 golden lampstands of the 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 lampstands are the 7 churches. How many lamps were on the lampstand in the tabernacle? 5, 9, 7, or 12? 7. Exodus 25:37. Then make it 7 lamps and set them up in it so that they light the space in front of it. Which part of the body was anointed with blood during the ordination of priests? Ear, thumb, toe, or all? All. Exodus 29:20. Slaughter it. Take some of its blood and put it on the lobes of the right ears of Aaron and his sons, on the thumbs, on the right hands, and on the big toes of the right feet. How many chapters are in the book of Exodus? 30, 40, 35 or 45. 40. The book of Exodus ends at chapter 40. What was the name of the wilderness where the Israelites camped after crossing the Red Sea? Sinai, Paran, Shur, or Negev? Shur. Exodus 15:22. Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went into the desert of Shur. For 3 days they traveled in the desert without finding water. What was the specific measurement of a cubit? Elbow to fingertip. Exodus 25:10. The cubit was a standard unit of measurement used throughout biblical times, roughly equivalent to 18 inches or 45 centimeters. How many times did Moses ascend Mount Sinai to receive the law? 1, 3, 2, or 4? 2. Exodus 19:3. Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "This is what you are to say to the descendants of Jacob." Which group of people attacked the Israelites shortly after they left Egypt? Moabites, Amalekites, Canaanites, or Edomites? Amalekites. Exodus 17:8. The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. What was placed inside the Ark of the Covenant? Manna, Aaron's staff, commandments, or all? All. Exodus 25:16. Then put in the ark the tablets of the covenant law, which I will give you. Who was the first high priest of Israel? Eleazar, Nadab, Phinehas, or Aaron? Aaron. Exodus 28:1. Have Aaron your brother brought to you from among the Israelites, along with his son Adam and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar, so they may serve me as priests. What did Moses do to the tablets after he saw the golden calf? Burnt them, hid them, threw them, or sank them? Threw them. Exodus 32:19-20. When Moses approached the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, his anger burned, and he threw the tablets out of his hands, breaking them to pieces at the foot of the mountain. How many silver trumpets were made for the tabernacle? 2, 6, 4, or 10? 2. Exodus 19:2. Make 2 trumpets of hammered silver and use them for calling the community together and for having the tent set out. What was the name of the place where Moses struck the rock to bring forth water after the golden calf incident? Meribah, Elim, Mara, or Rephidim? Meribah. Exodus 17:7. And he called the place Massah and Meribah because the Israelites quarreled and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" What type of cloth was to be used for the tabernacle's curtains? Wool, linen, cotton, or silk? Linen. Exodus 26:1. Make the tabernacle with the 10 curtains of the finely twisted linen. Which Egyptian god was opposed by the plague of frogs? Happy, Hathor, Osiris, or Ra? Happy. Exodus 22. If you refuse to let them go, I will plague your whole country with frogs. What was the length of the tabernacle? 15 cubits, 45 cubits, 30 cubits, or 50 cubits? 45 cubits. Exodus 26:16. Make 20 frames for the south side of the tabernacle of acacia wood, upright. What happened to Pharaoh's heart after each plague? It softened, it melted, it hardened, or it feared. It hardened. Exodus 9:12. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not listen to them, just as the Lord has said to Moses. Who was the first person to offer a contribution for the construction of the tabernacle? Bezalel, Moses, Aaron, or all? Moses. Exodus 35:4. Moses said to the whole Israelite community, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Everyone who is willing to bring up the Lord an offering of gold, silver, and bronze." What was the punishment for anyone who stole an ox or sheep? Fines, repayment, death, or imprisonment? Repayment. Exodus 22:1. Whoever steals an ox or a sheep and slaughters it or sells it must pay back 5 heads of cattle for the ox and 4 sheep for the sheep. What type of incense was to be burned in the tabernacle? Myrrh, spice mix, cinnamon, or frankincense? Frankincense. Exodus 30:34. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Take fragrant spices, gum resin, onycha, and gold venom, and pure frankincense, all equal amounts." What did God send to lead the Israelites by night during their wilderness journey? Star, fire, cloud, or smoke? Fire. Exodus 13:21. By day the Lord went ahead of them in a pillar of cloud to guide them on their way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light. Which person in Exodus was skilled artisan responsible for the tabernacle's construction? Bezalel, Aholiab, Herod, or Agrippa? Bezalel. Exodus 31:2-5. See, I have chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills. What did Moses use to mark the covenant with the people after they agreed to follow God's laws? Water, blood, oil, or fire? Blood. Exodus 24:8. Moses then took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, "This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words." What was Moses' age when he led the Israelites out of Egypt? 80, 90, 70, or 60? Exodus 7:7. Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. Which plague caused boils to break out the Egyptians and their animals? 5th, 7th, 6th, or 4th? 6th. Exodus 9:10. So they took soot from a furnace and stood before Pharaoh. Moses tossed it into the air, and it became festering boils on people and animals. What did Moses build after receiving the tablets of the covenant? Altar, covenant, tabernacle, or temple? altar. Exodus 24:40. Moses then wrote down everything the Lord had said. He got up early the next morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and set up 12 stone pillars representing the 12 tribes of Israel. How many spies did Moses send into Canaan? 10, 8, 12, or 14? 12. Numbers 13:2. Send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites. From each ancestral tribe send one of its leaders. Who accompanied Moses when he first went to Egypt to free the Israelites? Aaron, Caleb, Joshua, or Eleazar? Aaron, Exodus 4:14. Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses and he said, "What about your brother, Aaron the Levite? I know he can speak well." What did the Israelites construct to carry the Ark of the Covenant? Carts, poles, chariots, or tents? Poles, Exodus 25:14. Insert the poles into the rings on the sides of an ark to carry it. What was the weight of the gold used for the tabernacle's furniture? 100, 750, 500, or 1,200? 750. Exodus 38:24. The total amount of the gold from the weight offering used for all the work on the sanctuary was 29 talents and 730 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. What was the exact length of a tabernacle's curtains? 30 cubits, 50 cubits, 40 cubits, or 60 cubits? 50 cubits. Exodus 26:2. The curtains are to be of fine linen and blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, with cherubim worked into them by a skilled craftsman. How many cubits high was the altar of burnt offerings? 2, 3, 5, or 4? 3. Exodus 27:1. Build an altar of acacia wood, 3 cubits high. It is to be square, 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits wide.